Hey everybody, welcome back to another Face Reactions. I'm Griffin, that's Theta, and we're here to watch some more Vinland Saga. Today we got a comment, so let's see what people got to say. We got Regan Mocker from the episode Courage saying, they made a bet with Thorfinn. He withstands 100 punches. He gets to see Canute. If he loses, he dies. Sure, there's no guarantee that they'll keep their word, but the farm is kind of out of options at this point anyway.
Griff, how many punches it takes to kill a person?
It could be as low as one.
Yeah.
It could be as low as half of one.
Well, one is ever heard the story of the doctor that gets killed by the baby?
Oh god, no, I haven't, but that sounds
Hold the baby up, slap
pathetic.
it to make sure it breathes. It kicks them in the temple and it kills them.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So yeah,
Simultaneously sturdy and fragile, but
that's what I'm saying is 100 punches is a ridiculous thing. If you just want to die, you might as well just fucking die. There's no reason to get tortured to death.
let's go ahead and hear him out, though. The story of Vinland Saga has one underlying message. Not every problem requires the protagonist to punch something else really, really hard. Thorfinn just needs to endure long enough. I don't think it matters to him whether or not he can withstand the punishment either way. If he dies, he knows that he'll at least tried a non-violent approach when no one else did, since he won't have to raise his fists himself. We've already seen what happens when everyone decides to fight to resolve the conflict with Canute, and it's an utter disaster. We I would also say that Almar has been acting differently ever since they had to flee in episode 12. He knows he messed up and that what is happening is his fault because he allowed himself to be used as a pawn by Canute. And unlike at the beginning, he is no longer convinced that he can be, or even wants to be, a warrior. He is at least honest with himself and with everyone around him, and he embraces an attitude that his brother and people like him do not understand, but which is the case, helps avoid more carnage and suffering. Had they surrendered from the get-go, no one would have died, and Kettle and his family would have been allowed to leave Denmark. Sure, it sucks for them, and Canute is not justified, but that would have helped avoid a lot of unnecessary fighting and death.
Alright, second paragraph. It's not a non-violent approach. You're agreeing to violence. You're agreeing not to enact violence yourself does not in itself dismiss the fact that you're agreeing to allow violence to be done. He is not enjoying a pacifist route to victory, or even trying a pacifist route. Hey, I'll let you guys beat me to death if I can go talk to Canute, is not non-violent.
That comes down to more consent of the individual. No one else agrees to be stabbed by somebody else. Well, and I mean, you can, but you're a little silly if you do so. Thorfinn's
Don't
a
discount
little silly here.
don't discount people, Griff. Remember that one
But,
guy who agreed to get eaten by a cannibal?
but
Anybody's
it
willing to agree to anything.
But more specifically, it is Thorfinn's choice to endure this pain as a part of trying to get something, rather than trying to inflict pain on others. He is setting an example of what he wants in the world. That's the whole
He's
point.
still agreeing to violence, is my point, is that he's agreeing to violence enacted upon himself. And in fact, one might view this as him punishing himself, which is an act of violence against himself. So,
Well, we could go ahead and go over the Christian martyr syndrome too a little bit, but we'll get to that later, I'm sure.
well, no, I'm looking more of a therapist route, but of course I'm not a therapist. But I'm just saying that he's agreeing to have violence enacted upon himself, which is neither a healthy thing nor a very good outlook that you, as a country, a person, a people, should allow violence to be done to you so long as you're not violent back. That's not even a good outlook.
To wrap it up more specifically, I think more he does have a very specific situation, one which he assumes has a chance of succeeding, and even if it doesn't, at least he tried. Uh, he is making a choice in that specific scenario, and I think it still works out. I think it's still
We know
fine.
it works out because we saw the next time on. It doesn't make it a good or legitimate solution. He's a warrior, was a warrior, and then he
Mhm.
was a beaten upon slave. He should know that you might have no chance to survive 100 punches. So it's dumb. It's suicide at the end of the day.
Actually, Actually, in like the Vinland universe here, there are people who just have superpowers and just like hurl javelins 5 miles. So like survive 100 punches. Maybe that's just a thing he knows he can
I think I said
maybe do.
this last time, but remember he got in a fight with Thorkill and didn't survive 3 punches. So,
Also true.
I mean, that didn't survive, but he got knocked out in 3 punches. So, had to wake up later and realize he lost the fight. So I'm just
Uh,
saying, we know he's not Superman endurance.
but last part, I think Reagan Mocker and I are like in agreement here. It's like Almar is different, is coming to a better awareness about himself, and wants something that the rest of everyone does not want.
The thing about Olmar, and I think I was very expressive when I said fuck that guy, was can a person be a horrible person, learn a lesson, go through a life experience, whatever, and come out the other side better than what they were? Yes, people can change. Now,
Mhm.
does that mean that they automatically get acceptance for the bullshit that they pulled before? No, it doesn't. Does that mean that you are wrong for still hating them despite the good person they turned out to be at the end? No, it doesn't. You can hate whoever you decide to hate. That is a really horrible message I'm sending.
All right.
But
To go ahead
I
and
think it's
save you from
legitimate.
it, here's an actual Buddhist story about the mass murderer who meets the Buddha, and he goes, "Oh wait, no, I'm going to change my life now that I learned this lesson from you." He like goes complete pacifist, complete Buddhist. Goes to town, just like asks for food because that's what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to have anything, and so gets shit upon by people. And he's like, "Wait, I'm trying everything. Is this is not good enough?" And Buddha just has to be like, yeah, no, like you can't force other people to feel differently. Well, what matters is what you're doing and trying to do here.
Yeah, it only matters to yourself, and other people can change their minds, which is
Hmm.
entirely upon them. It's like a more down to
Hmm.
earth would be if your dad cheated on your mom,
Hmm.
hit her a couple times, and ran out of the house, and then you meet him a couple of years later, and he's so apologetic, and he's trying to make up for everything, and then it's completely up to you whether you should accept him back or take his apology because it's you. It's not him. It's always
Okay,
gonna be sitting on you.
craziest redemption I've heard recently. Goddamn Orochimaru from Naruto. He's hanging out in the new series, and he's just a guy hanging around. He like occasionally serves people drinks. He assigns autographed cards of himself. I'm just like, isn't this the guy who was like an active terrorist, performed experimentation on children, and was like changes souls with people every 3 years or something? How is he just vibing now and everyone's okay with it?
I was kind of hoping that you were gonna go with Endeavor from My Hero Academia.
Oh, that's a different one.
That is
That
very
that
much
one they
more,
also address like the children do not forgive him.
well, sort of and sort of not. Like, but
Especially one of them.
yeah, but my point being is to tell you, despite being caused by superpowers and having superpowers involved in it, it's also a much more relatable scenario. Because
It is a lot of character drama, yeah.
at the end of the day, it's a dad abusing the family and then trying to make up for it later in life
Mhm.
after the consequences have already been reaped. And I feel like that's a more lifetime story than Orochimaru is.
Gosh, Orochimaru just comes out of nowhere, but like the Endeavor stuff, like Midoriya and Todoroki are just having like a moment, and Todoroki's like, I don't know if I can ever forgive him, and Deku is just like, it's perfectly fine if you can't, but I know you also are like a really nice person.
I literally just rewatched that
Yeah.
exact episode, the one where they're having a family discussion behind paper thin walls, and
Yeah, and then they
Bakugo
open it, it's like,
says,
why are you inviting us if you're doing this?
"Yeah, don't invite us over if you're just gonna be doing this. Give me the recipe for this." Anyway,
But yeah,
it's a much
but
more relatable scenario, is why I was trying to bring that up.
but like Regan Mocker says, if they did surrender, at least no one would have died, quote unquote. It'd still be wrong. It's still violent on Canute's part, but at least more people would be alive. And generally, living is better than not.
Well, I don't know why this is brought up in this comment because in Olmar's position, he didn't have that option until Kettle was already, out of the picture.
Well, it's because Olmar obviously blames himself for it now. He's
He should.
seen really the death and violence around him that he thinks is his fault.
It is.
Yeah, it is, and he feels terrible about it.
Cool. But I'm just
Mission
saying that the option to surrender from the get-go wasn't Olmar's position to make. It was Kettle's. So Kettle was already deranged at that point. It doesn't enter into the picture. Olmar's decision to surrender when he could was his first ability to make that decision.
Right. I mean, like, with Kettle, I think I could probably get into, like, a discussion about, like, properties not more valuable than human lives, and maybe draw that to, like, things that happen today and whatnot. But, like, Kettle was definitely more afraid of losing his stuff than about hundreds of people dying around him. He was literally demanding they go and die more for him.
You do know that if you went down that route, I would have to devil's advocate.
Right, I'm perfectly fine not going there today.
I mean,
we got a show to watch today.
I'm not saying I wouldn't. I am just saying that a human body does have a certain monetary value on the market outside of labor.
But yeah, no, everyone's made poor decisions. At least some people are learning from them. Kettle is definitely not getting a redemption moment at the end here, I don't think.
I think Thorfinn is going through the kind of arc where he's like slowly growing as a person, and then Leif shows up and he kind of reverts a little bit, and now he's going back into the same thing as before. It was like he's like hanging out in the docks and Leif shows up, gotta bring you home, and it's like no, and then does something regrettable that leads into him going to slavery, right? And now we're back again where Leif shows up, and now he's about to get himself punched into a concussion from which he might never recover.
The most heartbreaking thing in the entire show is that Leif just, like, continually cannot save Thorfinn.
Well, I think
from himself, most of all.
God, I can't remember. We brought it up last time where I asked you at the end of one of the last episode of 86 what the bird was that was a bad omen on the ocean. I can't remember the name of it all of a sudden. Albatross. Oh, yeah. Leif is an albatross to Thorfinn. Every time he shows up, Thorfinn immediately makes the worst decision of his life. Like, showing up on the boat, right? Like, Leif shows up, tells a bunch of stories of the village. Thorfinn says, I'm going to climb in this barrel. Boom, Dad's dead. Now you're on a lifelong thing of revengeance against, askeladd here. But Leif shows up again at the docks. Thorfinn does some stupid shit, and now he's sold into slavery. Leif shows back up at the farm. Thorfinn's about to get punched 100 times in the face by a bunch of people, by a bear killer.
I forgot that's what his name was. Yeah, no. Let's go ahead and talk about last time real quick and then get into that. Last episode was Courage. After his initial victory, Canute prevents Floki and his Jomsvikings from pillaging the farm so that he can acquire it intact. With Kettle incapacitated, it falls to his nominated successor, Olmar, to decide whether to fight or surrender, a decision made difficult by the results of the battle with many other men laying dead and wounded around him. He decides to surrender, accepting his responsibility in starting the conflict and the foolishness of his pride, and Thorgil storms off. Meanwhile, Thorfinn approaches Canute's camp alone and is greeted by a towering Jomsviking named Drott the Bear Killer, who ridicules the request to talk to the king and knocks him down. Einar arrives and tries to convince Thorfinn to leave, but instead he accepts the soldier's bet that if he survives 100 punches from Drott, he can have his audience with the king.
I suppose it's also worth mentioning that we're like 2 episodes from the end.
This is the climax. We're getting to it. There's not going to be one big battle. It's going to be Thorfinn quietly talking to Canute, having a moment, and then leaving.
Well, I mean, if you remember season 1 wasn't a big battle either. It was, Askeladd kills the king, and then the fallout from that.
Yeah, the climax was the assassination and Canute, transferring from innocent young person to wannabe king, basically. on impulse from Askeladd,
Well,
which is
turns into the
high
king.
drama for sure.
I
I
mean,
enjoyed that
it's not
100%.
wannabe king. He was the king the moment Askeladd killed his dad.
But here like the stakes are like way lower. I'm not sure like what do we have left for character drama to resolve? I guess like Thorgil is literally out there on the warpath still, so something has to happen there.
Canute doesn't want to see Thorfinn.
Canute doesn't want to see Thorfinn. Canute just wants the farm. He wants to like distance himself from things happening a bit
Well, you said
too.
drama, so I'm trying to make an
Yeah,
interpersonal
yeah.
drama that the Canute
hmm
heard it was Thorfinn, heard it was his physical description, and said, "No, I don't want to talk to him," and walked
hmm
away.
Yeah. Uh, but that's like just those two isn't enough for 3 episodes, and we already had like Leaf and Atslad and all that. The whole party has been through their drama already.
Look, I know everyone in the comments is constantly reminding us that the show is not about fighting, but let me
Mhm.
position this to you. What if, at the end of this episode, a bunch of boats appear on the horizon, and we zoom in, and it's Thorkill, at the Thorkill and a bunch of troops.
Thorkill's like, I'm gonna be king now. It would it would hands down be the funniest thing, and I still love Thorkill, but like,
He was our big
we're just
guy
not getting him back.
he was our big guy from season 1, and he just fucking just yeah, here's a kingdom, fuck off.
And he did. But yeah, we're gonna see the results. I don't know. I guess we're gonna get the big speech today. That's what I would feel, right?
I don't know. It'd be kind of dumb to do that. Hey, I just took 100 punches to the face. I can barely understand Norwegian anymore.
Just go all cottonmouth, like I believe we can no longer fight each other.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna get beaten down, you're probably what the Joker say to the Batman, right? Never start with the head.
A dog chasing cars. Oh, wait, no, wrong line.
Yeah, no, the interrogation scene. You never start with the head. They get all dazed and confused.
But yeah, I'm ready to see what happens. We've already had like beautiful metaphors, great imagery, good drama. Let's see what it gives us today. So, I think on that note, let's just go ahead and watch. But before we do, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and comment down below to feed that algorithm. On top of all that, if you want more shows like this, unfiltered, uncensored, and uncut, as well as some early access stuff, you can check it out over on the Patreon. It's just $5 a month, but no pressure. It's all just worth the challenge, just a little bit extra.
Click the link down below. Join the Discord. Get in the conversation about the shows that may come after this one. Straight into the opening.
Yep. So, random question here. Canute has been training, he's technically gotten better, and Thorfinn has technically gotten worse.
We don't know that he's
Theoretically.
gotten worse. We just know he's more
Thorf-
reluctant to do anything.
Thorfinn is not out to fight anyone, but if it came down to a brawl right now between Canute and Thorfinn, who would win?
Thorfinn. We've seen Canute
Yeah.
win. I mean, we've seen Canute fight, and Wolf kicked his ass, and then he had to
Mhm.
pull a dirty trick after he'd already lost to make it seem like he beat Wolf.
Yeah. It's unfortunate to say Canute is not our superhero fighting character here.
And I mean, we don't really know where Wolf stands. We know that Thorgil was about to kill him, but I would say that Wolf is probably where Thorfinn was in season 1, combat-wise. Maybe Thorfinn at his best.
I think that makes sense. I think they're on par with each other.
Well, I mean, because Canute's head bodyguard, right? So you gotta at least assume something.
They also had the entire scene of interacting with each other and like sizing each other up, so
The only scene of Thor's in this season. Can't believe Thor's got to the Sweet 16 on our poll.
come across the water, ignore the sirens. And no more jaw for Thorfinn. That wasn't a punch.
They counted it.
If he just takes it to the same broken bone every single time.
He'll die. Because the
Yes.
bones will shatter and they'll be pushed further into his face.
I do have to feel ever so slightly bad for Bear Killer here, where he's trying his hardest and has no idea what's going on.
He's got the coolest eye patch I've ever seen, because it looks like half of a sunglass.
Oh gosh, yeah, he just has randomly cool design.
確かに殴られ慣れているな。拳が当たる直前に首や腰をひねって体の芯への衝撃を散らしている。
Yeah, that's all I was expecting.
I don't care. I watch a lot of Hajime no Ippo. That still takes a lot of hits. It's a boxing anime. It gets you to no audience member.
この調子で長くは持つまい。
So will he actually make it through all 100?
Well, again, we saw on the next time on, he does. I figure that must be why a lot of reactors don't watch the next time bits, but we watch the whole goddamn thing here on Stone-Based Reactions.
最初の手段を見つけられるようになりたい。
これがそうなのか。
Turning the other cheek. Got to read too much of
Yeah.
the Bible.
Yeah. The only way I could make this very silly is if, like, Thorfinn, like, pulls the Bible from out of his chest. It's like I was using this as armor the whole time.
Nanda, 喧嘩か? おい、ちょっと。トルフィン。やめろ、おい。なんだ。そいつは農場とは無関係だ。
It's not about the farm anymore.
Punched him out of his hairband. Okay, so he did know what was going on. Should be. You understand why boxers wear those gloves? Because you can't take that many hits.
Even wearing the gloves, you can't take that many hits.
There's a lot of people that die in boxing, like the people who like had their gloves, like shit removed from their gloves. That's enough to kill people after the fight. You don't have
You
to.
can have them on and still kill someone.
I'm saying you don't have to add stuff to your gloves to make the hits harder. You can just remove padding, and you'll kill people by the end of the fight.
I do like Wolf is like right in sync with you. It's like, this is ridiculous.
もういい。やめろ。農場は降参する。そう決まった。バカ野郎。
See? It was even more pointless. The farm already surrendered, yet didn't have to do it.
話し合いで解決するくらいならとっくにやってな。
本当にそうか。
Did you actually try?
本当に
Oh, you win with it.
真剣に話し合いで解決する努力をしたのかよ。
You know what makes this worse? Is that nobody likes a self-righteous git. So you're only really...
何も考えずに剣で答えただけだろうがよ。
He's also not wrong here.
It doesn't matter how right you are. All the goodwill that you earned by taking all the punches, by being a smart know-it-all, it's just ruining all your goodwill.
てめえ何くつろいでんだ中脇野郎てめえのげんこつなんざ虫刺されほども効かねえんだよ。あと68発とっとと片付けろ。俺は暇じゃねえんだ。人を待たせてんだ
Now,
よ。
which teeth are missing? Because it appears to be none of them.
The back ones, I suppose.
Oh, the
Probably on the side he keeps getting hit on.
the molars, the hardest ones to remove. You said more
Yeah.
likely the front teeth. He should have missing front teeth.
やめろ。
I like how Bear just has no idea how to respond to this.
エイナル、このまま続けたら死ぬぞ。
I will say, this is also the theme of my second most favorite manga, or the second manga I ever read, The Breaker. Because his only power is that he's very resilient and he can get beaten up a lot. He's not a good fighter, he would lose every fight, if not for the fact that everybody respects him by the time they're done beating the shit out of him.
I do love how, like, all the excitement has gone out of the crowd. They're just suffering through this.
Because this is exactly how the Breaker would go in this situation. Without the whole pacifism thing. Just standing up with the energy to say what you want while getting the shit beaten out of you.
He died standing.
I mean, that's the thing about the Breaker. Season 2, he learns how to fight.
ドールスの子、ドルフィン。疑ってすまなかった。お前は本物の戦士だ。
This is fucking Klingon levels of shit, right? Time to walk through the pain
Absolutely.
sticks.
重将殿。
God, no one is happy.
我々と同じく王陛下のこの世を務めたものです。どうかこのトルフィンのお目通りをお許しください。
I didn't take part in no bet.
よく鍛えてあるようだな、トルフィン。
Yeah, I'd say this is a deal of between a bunch of nobodies.
ドロットを倒せば元この枝というお前の実力の証明になるだろうに。
なんだその質問は。和平交渉の相手をぶん殴ってりゃ世話ねえぜ。あんた方とは今日会ったばかりだ。お互いのことは何も知らねえ。何の恨みもねえ。なんで俺たちが殴り合わなきゃいけねえんだ。バカバカしい。
Just putting this in my mind
似合ってるのはクヌートとケティルじゃねえか。
next to Gundam 00 when the aliens show up.
ネファタフルでもやってる。
We don't know anything about one another. How can we fight? Gundam 00 fights while negotiating.
血を流す
This
必要は
we get punched to death.
He is making, like, a very, very nice
俺
point,
たち
though.
は今日会ったばかりだ。あんた方は俺の敵じゃない。
He said the line! He said it!
Yeah, I mean, it's all well and good. But you can't apply this methodology to anything because literally they could have just stabbed you to death. At which point, there's still not your enemies because you're not a person anymore.
But he doesn't have any enemies, Theta.
It's true. The next person that wants to kill him will just fucking kill him. And he'll have died having no enemies.
この数の職業戦士に囲まれて堂々と戦争を否定するとは。しかしケティルと王陛下がネファタフルか。
何がおかしい。
いやすまん。そなた王陛下に直接それを進言してみるといい。王陛下とて好んで戦をなさっているわけではない。 拝謁しお言葉を聞けばそのお心を知るだろう。道を開けろ。シャドルを陛下の御元へお通しする。
Who won money on that bet?
Nobody, because they said last time who had the highest bet, and he had to go over the highest bet.
お前も言いたいことがあるだろう。おお、あるさ、山ほどな。
I feel like Knut's just gonna be confused seeing Einar.
Well, also Thorfinn doesn't look like Thorfinn right now.
Yeah. These are great moments though. Like that's so like that was the speech I was expecting to see.
Again, I just don't agree. It's not realistic. It's not even realistic to the world he lives in right now, because he's walking past the bodies.
That is also the point. They've been saying that the whole time. So you're on the right page.
この戦の戦車が。見るな、エイナル。パテールさん。
Einar, you're only gonna traumatize yourself further.
あの中にパテールさんを見つけてしまったら、冷静でいられなくなる。
When has Einar ever remained calm? There's been a story of them having to hold Einar back constantly.
Yeah, Einar's been spitting fire since the beginning. He wants to go crazy. I feel bad for him having to explain the situation. Like, well, you see, they made a bet, sir.
Cool, I'm still the king. I don't have to listen to a bet among soldiers.
わかった。青。そなたたちの気持ちを尊重する。
ありがとうございます。使者殿、こちらへ。
Oh, it's that the guy who poisoned his own brother has to remain honorable?
What happened to Wolf? I feel like he should be here too.
He's right there. What are you talking about?
Wait.
The guy with the eye thing, the guy right to his
No, I'm
his
sorry.
right.
Snake, I mean. Snake. Where's Snake?
"生きていたか。久しいな、トルフィン。そなたを奴隷の身に落としたことを。いや、アシュラッドのこと、さぞ恨んでいような。
So, Thorfinn, you had time to work through that trauma? You feel any better about it, or...?
デンマーク王家に刃を向けた俺が今こうして生きているんだ。あなたの配慮に感謝しています。お顔の傷、申し訳ありませんでした。
陛下のお顔に傷をつけた男、トルフィン・カルルセブに。かつてトルケ
Sorry, when did you get a last
の
name?
戦いをしたという男。あんなに小柄で
Hey, he had one the whole time, just no one ever said this.
Well, I kind of assumed that, given his lineage, he had been Thorfinn
その
Thorson.
顔では面影もわからぬが、確かに世の知るトルフィンのようだな。しかし、殊勝なことを申すようになった。4年か。
High point of the show.
もう、あれから4年になるのだな。人を変えるには、十分な年月だ。クヌート、農場から手を引いてくれ。できんな。事の発端はケティル川にある。ケティルの子オルマルが重視になれぬのを恨み、我が
To be fair,
ジュ
one.
レを殺害したのだ。聞いている。
The rest were kind of Thorgil, but same point.
農場側は100人以上死んでいる。 働き手があんなに死んだらもうこの一帯は立ち直れないかもしれない。
降伏を勧告した上でのことだ。戦力差を見誤ったケティルに罪がある。さればこそケティル一族の処分が済むまで戦は終わらぬ。
そりゃつまりこの農場を手に入れるまでってこ
I
と
think
だ
he
ろ。
basically has already captured the farm.
建前並べたって隠せねえぞ。
The opposition is pretty thin
王
now,
様だって言
yeah.
っても実際ただの強盗じゃねえか。その辺の
Oh, you're so close. Maybe all kings are
何が違うっ
thieves.
てんだ。ああ、そんなに畑が欲し
I
け
mean, to be fair, a king only has the authority granted to them.
土を耕して見守って育ててみろよ。そうすりゃそれ
Oh my god, this is all swords to plowshares!
悪いことが身に染みてわかるだろう。
We literally brought the farmer to the talk. Of course he's going to.
クヌート、お前は昔ゲインズバラで言ったよな。
North Carolina.
この地上に楽土を作る、生き苦しむ者たちのための理想郷を。まだそう思っているか。
Has been 4 years.
Well, even Canute said people change.
いかにも世はバイキングの親玉中の親玉だ。よこそは帝王、北海最強のバイキングである。北欧最大の半島を滑る支配者、千の船、万の兵を率いる将なり。世の力は人知を超え、不可能を可能にする。見よ、世の力であの波を沈めてみせよう。
But what if he did?
帝王クヌートの名において。
What if they stop, Griff?
I'm going to be going bonkers if so.
Well, I got nothing to say. Oh, never mind. There they go. Or did they stop for a second?
見たか、そなたたち。我が力を。寄せるさざ波さえ止めることができぬ。
Oh, okay.
Alright.
あの波を起こしている者が誰か。
Yeah, we didn't go the crazy direction.
神だ。この地上に楽土を築くということは、奴の定めた
Oh, we're going sunset limited logic.
神への反逆だ。
God's most preferable noise is the suffering of man.
従っていては人間は幸福になれぬ。
反逆。
我らを見よトルフィン。我らバイキングを、この混乱と破壊の担い手を、恐怖の略奪者を。我らに楽園に住む資格があると思うか。だがそれこそ人間だ。罪を犯し
Classic reinterpretations of bad art.
人間の姿そのものなのだ。神に捨てられたこの者たちを救わねば、楽土建設など到底かなわぬ。
バイキングを救う。
そうだ。この者たちを制し、御し、その力を束ね、楽土へ向かわせることができる者は、世を置いて他にはおらぬ。力が必要だ。人間の力を束ね、神と戦うのだ。
It wouldn't be Japanese media if it weren't fighting God at some point.
すごい男だ、クヌート。俺には思いつきもしなかった。バイキングを救うなんて。
倒すぞこの野郎。てめえがどんなでかいことやろうがてめえの勝手だ。だがそのために今日てめえに殺される人間は誰が救うんだ。 バイキングは力になるから生かして役に立たない人間からは
Not once introduced Einar, by the way.
楽土建設が消
Yeah,
えて
he
や
just
ち
he
る
just
ぜ
here.
俺はエセルレッド王に村を焼かれスベン王に家族を殺された奴らにどんな理想があったかなんて知ったこっちゃねえもう真っ平だこれ以上お前らの犠牲になってたまるかよ
恨むなら恨め。そなたに許されようとは思わぬ。
Gosh, this is all the good drama we came here for.
よせエイナル。クヌート、改めて聞く。農場から手を引く気はないんだな。
ない。ケテルの富は世の事業に必要だ。さすればどうするトルフィン。今ここで世を殺すか。殺さぬ限り世を止めることはできぬぞ。
Here we go. Canute represents the real world.
Let's see how this goes. What's your plan?
So long as it doesn't go gladiator route where they one-on-one each other for no reason.
I feel like Canute would let that happen, but that's not what Thorfinn's gonna do.
Well,
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, like, you know, the ending of Gladiator where he stabs him before the fight. Well, Canute getting, no, sorry, not Canute, Thorfinn getting beaten to shit just before they would have a one-on-one fight with one another would be the Gladiator move. The equivalency.
Yeah. But yeah, no, they left us off right before they actually resolve it, but they at least got every single thing off their chest. Like, every single complaint they have against each other is, like, on the table now, right?
Well,
They didn't leave anything else.
I mean, at least Canute's one, not crazy,
Yeah.
and two, sees the world in the very realistic terms in which the world operates.
Mm-hmm. Canute is doing the very pragmatic, I'm running a kingdom, yo. If I don't, this doesn't work.
Well, I mean, it's very realistic because we know how the world goes from here. I mean, not even how the world is. We know the evolution of history, and it don't go the way Thorfinn says.
I mean, you can still have hope, it's fine, but,
No, in a show based on history, you know what happens. You can look up these people in a history book and find out how their lives turned out. Having hope against the known is idiocy.
That's why we're going to Vinland, baby.
Well, we know what they get out of that.
二つの道
And it's setting up for season 3, I guess.
They do agree to part ways. I mean, that was gonna be, like, at least obvious, I guess.
I mean, unless it's going to be something like Thorfinn agrees to serve under Canute to, like, give him advice or something?
No, I don't think so.
Well, I
Thorfinn
mean-
wouldn't agree to give more advice to kill more people, right?
Well, no, it'd be advice to not kill people, to find solutions to problems without battle. Because, I mean, even where Canute's standing, that has to be a good idea, right? If you could win fights without fighting, obviously use that. Then otherwise, just bring in the forces to fight like you would anyway. It's a resource to be had. And obviously Einar doesn't want to be anywhere near Canute, so Einar just fucks off to wherever he's going to go. Maybe Vinland.
Einar already said it, like, himself particularly saliently. It's just like, one king destroyed my village, the other one killed my family. I don't care what these ideals are, man. Stop stealing from people. Einar is actually like a nice little breath of fresh air to like this expected conversation between like Canute doing like his pragmatic king stuff and Thorfinn being like very idealistic pacifist. Like I want us to just talk it all out. Einar is just standing there, just like, have you ever like grown a plant, man?
I mean, I don't know. He's a breath of fresh air. He's just saying the
He,
things that I'm saying. I would think that most people would say had they not
right,
been
he's bringing
killed.
in the extra perspective, so it's not just entirely like ideology v ideology as a discussion, right?
Well, I mean, he has an ideology too. You even said it there when you said, "Have you ever tried to grow a plant?" He has an ideology, and his point of view isn't spewing the ideology. Well, except for the fact that he fucking did. But I mean, his point of view is more. It's not even about other people's ideologies, even though he said that. His point of view is, God, I just want to stop getting stepped on.
Right, and that would be the argument I would make, that Einar doesn't have one yet. He's formative, he's watching other people talk, and he's just like living just as his own personal self and going, it's like what's good or bad for like me or like people like me. But he still like is there as part of the conversation, which we've mocked a little bit. It's like, what is this farmer doing
Oh, I
here?
mean, he's the everyman. He's my
Mhm.
opinion, right?
Exactly.
He's watching Thorfinn getting punched 100 times, saying, "Well, this is fucking dumb, but I can't stop watching it because it's
He
the main
is,
focus of the scene." And
yeah, he's a little bit the audience here, right?
well, yeah, again, his point of view is, I don't want to keep getting stepped on. Kings
Mhm.
take everything away from me, and I've got no power to do anything about it, which is true. And
Mhm.
Thorfinn's thing is, well, we do have an ability to do something about it. We can just get fucking abused until they recognize our independence. And it's like, that's not going to work out for you. And then you have Canute's side, which is might makes right, which
Mhm.
is the God's honest truth.
Yeah. But still, I think it was interesting and engaging. It was a fun discussion to watch. But it's hard to like. I'm trying to like find like points to, like get into like their ideology and like start like tearing little pieces out of it. Like you've been doing that a lot for Thorfinn here, right?
Well, because it's so obviously. God, you know what the best example of this is? 86. It's so
Mhm.
much very the 86 thing, where, what's his name? Is it Jerome? The uncle's name? I'm suddenly escaping me.
Yes, that is actually
Jerome
correct.
Kirstall. The last speech that he gave to Lena, where no, I don't think it was the last one. I can't remember. It's either the one he gave in an office or it's the one he gave him for the Statue of Rebellion. But
Yeah.
an ideal is something that you can never achieve. That's why it's an ideal. You can strive for it, you can hope to achieve it, but you never can because we
Right,
are
and that's an
human
excuse for
stupid.
doing nothing there in that scene. But
Well, no, I
I
mean
see where you're going.
that we're all stupid human beings, selfish and arrogant and whatnot, but
Mhm.
that's the thing. That applies to Thorfinn. Your ideals are going to get you killed. They are only an ideal because you'll never be able to achieve them. And it's not like I'm saying this out of like they're bad ideals. I'm saying that history is against you. The next 1,000 years of history do not feature your ideals working. You are maybe at best, the Amish, right? And I think they are sat in a very good position that they have a government surrounding them that allows them to do that.
But it's okay because Thorfinn has no enemies. He
Again,
has no enemies, Theta.
again,
Sorry.
the
The
cut
line is the
purse,
best line.
the cut purse that stabs you in the back and takes your coin isn't your enemy because you're dead.
But I feel like, the way that you've been tearing down Thorfinn, Einar exists there to like try to tear down Canute back. And I guess like he's the reason like I don't have like as much to say. He already did all the legwork, right? He's like, you're being hypocritical, you're just kind of stealing from people. Is this really any good if you're just supporting one side? Which like goes back towards like our season one where, the line wasn't like we have no enemies, but like if you're only loving one person. You're not like loving all humanity or whatever. You're doing the
Yeah,
what do they say? Like the stuff we made fun of. The it's only discrimination if you're only loving one side. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think I boiled it down to. I mean, I basically said the same thing back. I don't know the exact quote, but I remember repeating
Yeah.
it myself. Yeah, I have no problem with Einar here because he's taking the standard approach, right? That Einar sees the world the way that it is, and not the way that Thorfinn's trying to change it to be, because he's approaching it like it's not the ideals that are hurting people. It's people that are hurting people.
Look at the material reality around you for a moment, is what Einar is saying.
Well, it's more like you're not thinking about like you're saving everybody from God when you raise your sword up on the battlefield and killed my sister, right? That's not. Those soldiers weren't thinking about high ideals. They were thinking about more hedonistic things, which did not apply to the situation. He's being very realist amongst a bunch of idealists.
Yeah. So still, I think this was a great episode. This was good. The first half was definitely what we expected the most of, and the second half was, I think, decently surprising. So I think that's all we got to say. Let's just go ahead and wrap up for the day then. This has been Stoneface Reactions, everybody. I'm Griffin. That's Theta. We'll catch you next time. See you around. Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?